as Apple prepares to unveil the iPhone 17. Some analysts expect the company to raise prices even after all CEO Tim Cook has done to avoid the worst of tariffs. Consumer products, including apparel, footwear, coffee, and game consoles, are seeing price increases driven by tariffs costs. Some Wall Street analysts are counting on Apple to follow. Jefferies analyst Edison Lee baked in a $50 price increase into his iPhone 17 average. Selling price projections in a note in July, he's got a hold rating on Apple's stock. When Tim Cook gifted President Donald Trump a gold and glass plaque last month, the Apple CEO was hailed by Wall Street for his job managing the iPhone maker's relationship with the White House. Cook, Wall Street commentators said, had largely navigated the threat of tariffs on Apple's business successfully by offering Trump an additional $100 billion U.S. investment, a win the president could tout on American manufacturing. But despite the 24-carat trophy Cook handed Trump, the true costs of those tariffs may finally show up for Apple customers later this month. Thank you all. And thank you, President Trump, for putting American innovation and American jobs front and center, Cook said at the event, which brought Apple's total planned spend to $600 billion in the U.S. over the next 5 years. Trump, at the event, said that Apple would be exempt from forthcoming tariffs on chips that could double their price. But as Apple prepares to announce new iPhones on Tuesday, some analysts are forecasting the company to raise prices on its devices. Even after all Cook has done to avoid the worst of the tariffs, a lot of the chatter is, will the iPhone go up in price? Said Counterpoint Research Director Jeff Fieldhack, although smartphones haven't seen significant price increases yet. Other consumer products are seeing price increases driven by tariffs costs, including apparel, footwear, and coffee. And the tariffs have hit some electronics, notably video games. Sony, Microsoft, and Nintendo have raised console prices this year in the U.S. Some Wall Street analysts are counting on Apple to follow. Jefferies analyst Edison Lee baked in a $50 price increase into his iPhone 17 average, selling price projections in a note in July. He's got a hold rating on Apple's stock. Goldman Sachs analysts say that the potential for price increases could increase the average selling price of Apple's devices over time. And the company's mix of phones have been skewing toward more expensive prices. Analysts expect Apple to release 4 new iPhone models this month, which will likely be named the iPhone 17 series. Last year, Apple released 4 iPhone 16 models, the base iPhone 16 for $829, the iPhone 16 Plus at $899. How Cook has managed tariffs thus far when Trump announced sweeping tariffs on China and the rest of the world in February. It seemed like Apple was in the crosshairs. Apple famously makes the majority of its iPhones and other products in China. And Trump was threatening to place tariffs that could double Apple's costs or more. Some of Trump's so-called reciprocal tariffs would hit countries like Vietnam and India, where Apple had hedged its production bets. But 7 months later, Apple has weathered the tariffs better than many had imagined. The U.S. government has paused the most draconian Chinese tariffs several times. Smartphones got an exemption from tariffs, and Cook in May told investors that the company was able to rearrange its supply chain to import iPhones to the US from India, where tariffs are lower. Cook also successfully leaned on his relationship with Trump, visiting him in White House and taking his side in August. When Cook presented the shiny keepsake to Trump, that commitment bolstered Trump's push to bring more high-tech manufacturing to the U.S. In exchange. Trump said he would exempt Apple from a forthcoming semiconductor tariff, too, and Trump's IEEPA tariffs were ruled illegal in late August, although they are still in effect. Apple hasn't completely missed the tariff consequences. Cook said the company spent $800 million on tariff costs in the June quarter, mainly due to the IEEPA-based tariffs on China. That was less than 4% of the company's profit, but Apple warned it could spend $1.1 billion in the current quarter on tariff expenses. After months of eating the tariff costs itself, Apple may finally pass those costs to consumers with this month's launch of the iPhone 17 models. Apple has been judicious about hardware price increases in the US. The smaller Pro phone, for example, hasn't gotten a price increase since its debut in 2017, holding at $999. But Apple has made some price changes. The company raised the price of its entry-level phones from $699 to $829 in 2020. And in 2022, when Apple eliminated the smaller iPhone mini that started at $699, the company replaced it with the bigger screen Plus that costs $899. The Pro Max also got a hike in 2023 when Apple bumped it from $1,099.